Hi, welcome to another of our YouTube tutorial on R programming. Today we would look at a test of independence example and teach you how to use R to conduct test of independence. The example states that a Bloomberg Businessweek subscriber study asked, in the past 12 months when traveling for business, what type of airline ticket did you purchase most often? So this was basically like a survey question to subscribers of the Bloomberg Business Week. So a second question asks if the type of airline ticket purchased most often was for domestic or international travel. So they basically asked their subscribers those two questions and then collated the responses from their subscribers. And those responses are shown in the table below. So our question now is, using an alpha of 0.05, is the type of ticket purchased independent of the type of flight? And then what's your business conclusion? And then discuss any dependence that exists between the type of ticket and type of flight. So here we could see two different independent variables: the type of flight, which is domestic and international, and then the type of tickets. So we have, first class, business class, and economy class. Just basically for this example, but then, if you go on flights, there's like different stuff. You have premium economy, you have and different things, but we're just going to look at just these three types of tickets, right? First class, business class, and economy class. And you can see the responses for each of those classes, as well as the flight type, right? But so far, we basically see that for domestic flights, we had 518 responses for the economy class. And then for international, we had 135. And then the first class for domestic and international is basically the lowest for the two types of flight. So let's see how we could do all of this or do this analysis on R programming. So I have my R program already opened up, right? So if you don't have yours opened, please go ahead and open it. And all I just do here is just say test of independence. So I think before doing any of the analysis, we do want to state what the null and alternate hypothesis is. Yeah, just say null. Right. So HO would be type of ticket purchased is independent of the type of flight. So please remember, for the test of independence, we're looking at the row column is independent of the the row variable is independent of the column variable, right? And the alternate is that the row variable is not independent of the column variable. So in this case, our row is the ticket purchased and our flight is the column variable. Right, so now we have that stated out. I want to show you all how to do visualization on R, or how to do a chart on R to visualize your data. So we're going to have to install a package called ggplot2. So install packages, the first one, just click on it and just ggplot2, right? So basically allows us to create charts. Right. So please install that. Just you could either click on run here, or you could do command return if you're using a Mac to run line number 7, or a control and enter if you're using a Windows computer. And then just allow it to run. You basically see it down here. I've installed it before, so I don't want to install it again, right? But once you let it install, it would kind of do the installation down here, and you basically see when it's done. So once it's done, just give it some time to finish. Once it's done, then you can go to the next code and just load the packages. Right. So the first package is our Excel package to let us read Excel. So we use the read Excel. And then the next one would be library ggplot2, right? So this line 11 is basically from line 7 that we have installed. So now I can run this one and line 11, right? Because it's installed already. Now the next thing is to load the data. So I'm just going to have mine as airline data. So I basically have the data on, I would put the link to the data on the YouTube description page, right? It's called airline data. So please just download it from the YouTube description link. So I'm going to run my downloaded data now. All right, so it has 920 observations for just 2 variables, which is the ticket and the flight. So this is basically how it looks like, right? So first class domestic, first class international, first class business class domestic, and so on and so forth. So you could also see a glimpse of the data here as well. And then the next thing I want to do is to compute a crosstab, right? Basically a data table or the contingency table. So we use the function called table to help us do that. And we say airline data, then the first one, ticket, then airline data, dollar flight. And then we have that crosstab. So basically this would output the cross tabulation result. All right. So here's the result. So you could see the flights for domestic and international. So basically just kind of looking like our table here. So we basically just imported this table into R. That's what we've done, right? So all the numbers are the same. Business class is 95. You could see it here, 95. Economy class, 518. You could see that 518 here, right? Same thing. So, so we can basically continue our analysis. So now we want to just calculate some probabilities, right? Basically, if we were asked to find the proportion, right? Like, oh, okay, what's the proportion of subscribers that are in economy class and basically went with a domestic flight, right? So what we will be doing there to find the proportion would just be, you take the economy class, which is 518, right? And you divide that by the total number of respondents in the domestic flight category. So that's 518 plus 95 plus 29, right? That would give us a percentage of, let's just say 80.69%. So approximately 81% of the respondents, right, basically took economy class in the domestic flight category. But how do we do that proportion using R, right? So I'm just going to say probability data, and then we're using a function called prop table. It basically gives us a probability for our entire cross tab, right? So cross tab, and then we say margin. So if you say margin equal to 1, right, it's going to give you the proportions for the respondents in the economy class, regardless of their flight, right? So there, it will be doing your proportion as 518 divided by 518 plus 135, which you say, oh, 79% of the respondents are in the economy class. That's basically how it will be. It's not going to give you the proportion based on the flight. It's going to give you based on, what's it called? The type of ticket purchased, not the type of flight, right? But if you're looking for the proportion based on the type of flight, which is either domestic or international, then you need to change the margin to 2, right? And there to give you the proportion based on the type of flight. And then we need to put it in a data frame. So basically we want it to show like in a table or something. So that's what we mean by data frame. All right, so now let's run this, and this. All right, so now we could see our different probabilities, right? But we're not seeing the title or the names of our columns. So we need to do something, right? We need to do something that would allow us to see the names of, like, the correct names of each of those columns instead of seeing VAR1 or VAR2 or frequency, right? So I'm just going to say rename the columns. So we use a function called column names, and we say we just put that table in there, probability data, and we want it as the first one to be ticket, the second one to be the flight, and then the last one to be probabilities instead of oh no, let's just say probability instead of frequency. So now if we output our table again, it's going to show us the correct thing. So run line 27. Oh, I think I made a mistake. Oh yeah, the function is names, not, yeah, names, not name. Okay, so run that. All right, so now you can see instead of having it as VAR1, VAR2 frequency, we now have it as our ticket, flight, and probability, right? So basically 81%, right, or 80.6% of respondents took economy class for domestic flight, and then around 49% of respondents took economy class for international flight. So basically the economy class is like the top class for people to take, or for subscribers to the Bloomberg Business Week to basically take when flying, right? Now, I promised you guys that I was going to show you how to visualize data, right? So here I'm just going to say create a chart, right? We're creating a column chart. So let's just say create a column chart. So we're going to use the ggplot, which we data, which we talked about. So the AES here, right, it's helping us to specify what we want as our x-axis and what we want as our y-axis, right? So please take note of that. So this should be small letter X, no, capital. Yeah. Then we wanted to use ticket. So we're just trying to put some parameters for how we want the graph to look like, right? So here for the title, we're putting like a title for our column chart. And then we're putting like the title for the y-axis, which is probability. And then for the x-axis, we have it as flight. So and then we want the field to be ticket. So let's see. So here we're just trying to create, like choose some certain colors for the field, right? So I'm going to say, maybe let's use blue, orange, and gray. So I'm just kind of selecting random colors and not being really specific on my colors at all. So, but you could play around with the colors. So that's up to you. Use whatever colors that you feel comfortable with. All right, so I think that's it. So let's run this. Boom. So this is basically how it looks like. So we can see, so you can click on zoom and it's basically going to like zoom out for you so you see it in a bigger screen or something if you don't want it on a small screen. All right, so we could see the domestic and international flights. We could also see the tickets by business class, economy class, and first class, right? So that's basically what our field was doing for us. And just like the probabilities, you could see that the economy class is basically the one that tops everything, right? For both domestic and international flights, right? Although the percentages for business and economy classes is pretty close, right? It's around the 40% range. So we could get some insights from this, right? I'm just gonna put like maybe 2 interpretations. You could figure out more interpretations from the chart if you want. So, but for me, I'm just gonna say 81% of the airline tickets were no. Oh yeah. 81% of subscribers, let's put it that way. So 81% of subscribers, yeah, 81% of subscribers stated that they purchased economy class tickets when flying. domestic. So that's basically within the country, right? That's what domestic means. And then I could just say very few subscribers. For the first class. Used first class tickets for flights. All right, those are some interpretations. You could go ahead and get some more interpretations from the graph. Right, so now let's compute the chi-square test statistics. All right, so I'm just gonna say we use the function chi-square test, all right? And then we just put our cross tab. And then let's just output all right, so this is basically what our results are. Our chi-square is 100.43. That's our test statistics. The degree of freedom is 2. And then the p-value is basically less than 0, right? So that's so I'm just going to put some interpretation. Remember, we're given alpha 0.05. So we reject HO and conclude that the type of ticket purchased is not independent of the type of flight. So basically what we're saying is that this here is true and this is false, right? That's basically what we're saying. Reject HO and conclude that the type of ticket purchased is not independent so if you remember, we had a second question that says discuss any dependence that exists between the type of ticket and type of flight. So I think we could just say that we expect that the type of ticket purchased to depend upon whether the flight is domestic or international, right? Because you're not just going to just purchase any ticket without knowing if you're flying international or if you're flying domestic, right? So that basically depends. For some people, I'm flying domestic. I don't need to purchase a first class or business class. I'm fine with economy, right? And then maybe that same person's like, oh, I'm going international. It's going to be a long flight. I need some comfort. I'll go for the first class or business class, right? And then for some people, hey, I got the money, right? I don't want to fly economy. I'm just going to fly business class all through, regardless of what type of flight I'm going. So, yeah. So we can expect the type of ticket purchased to depend upon whether the flight is domestic or international. All right, so that is our business interpretation. So I think in summary, you've basically learned a whole lot of stuff from this video. First, you've basically learned how to calculate the proportions or the probabilities, right? Second, you've learned how to rename columns in your data. Third, you've learned how to visualize data using a column chart and how to interpret some of the findings, or how to interpret the results of the column chart, right? Let me put it that way. And then lastly, you've seen how to use the chi-square test statistics to test for independence. So those are the 4 major things you have learned from this video. I hope it was helpful to you. Please like the video and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.